So as you guys can see, the lighting on the interior looks epic. Welcome back to Jam's Lego Studio, and we have some epic progress. Alright, so now I'm working on the neck area of this big alien cruiser. And you can see I've got kind of this angle structured out and beamed together. Where you can see all these Technic pins. I'm working on a cover for that, finish supporting this together with the Technic bricks behind it. And then using some of the brackets to get the outside details attached. So, and then after that, we gotta do the other side still, of course. And then we'll be working more towards the front command bridge. Alright guys, so now we have some really good progress on the alien cruiser. As you can see, I'm starting to work up toward the command bridge and where the heavy turbo lasers are going to be. And also that I've worked on the neck area. So in the neck area, I made this almost like a truss on the inside, layering 2 plates in between Technic plates and anchoring them with Technic beams gradually on a slope, as you can see. And then I left it so that the studs are flush with the bottom so that I can detail all the way across and hide this Technic brick. And then I've also blended that corner and from the neck into the main body of the ship. And then, as you can see, I finally attached the turbo lasers I made quite a while ago onto here. Now the only problem I'm having with this setup right now is there's enough torque and there's enough power for these 4 Mindstorms medium motors to power both sides with both turbo lasers on. However, it's the one axle thickness that I think is causing the issue, because this will keep rotating while the other side doesn't. But if I just give it a tap when it's moving, after a while it'll go right back to the position and hold it. So if the axle is a little bit thicker, I think that would solve the issue. And it's also, I think, not the main reason, but a partial reason could be that there's a very long gear chain and there's a lot of slack in it as well that's causing that. That's because I had to have the motors in the almost like crescent shaped front area so that I can have the maximum interior in here. And even if I put it in the hallway up here, I would still run into a very long gear chain. So I had to figure out a way to make it work a little bit better. So that's what we're going to work on next. And I've also outlined more of the shape of the bridge, being at the maximum height and depth, so that I can make the curvature of the crescent shape to those points on the front and on the back side. So those are the things we're going to be working on next. Let's get to it. So from the last progress clip, you can see I have finished blending in the body of the ship to the neck, as well as I finished all the side detailing. So you can see some groups of double stacked 1x1 round studs and some in the light gray detail, having it being studs on the side, as well as incorporating a very smooth texture. But on a lot of this, you can see they overlap each other, so it gives it a very unique, like, scaled effect. It's not quite as like organically scaling like on a dragon. Well, I was going for that idea, more of a smooth look. And then you also see I am using these jumper plates and some tiles underneath it to get the staggered look of the grays and the sand green stripe in the middle. And I've done something similar with the 2x2 jumpers above it. And overall, this does highlight the smooth look like I've had on my alien fighter. And yet it gives it kind of like organic look a little bit as well. Especially around these trans dark blue panel pieces. So I'm really pleased with the result here. And now we're going to finish working on the underside. And then also, as a side note, I have figured out this mechanism and how I want to connect the motors up through the drive shaft and increase the gear ratio from where I had it last time by including another worm gear and 24 tooth gear. So I've done that, but I still have the issue. I think that the axles are just simply not thick enough and are just allowing, as the weight turns, it just flex the axle just a little bit. Though the system has enough power and torque to handle it, it's just the thin axle that I think is the issue. So we'll be figuring that out next as well. Alright, so now we've got the bottom of the slope neck detailed. And this includes a lot of very smooth shapes, as well as some greebling that flows well with it. So first, I have this really technically advanced satellite, because I used kind of an illegal technique to make it, using these wrench pieces connecting to the radar dish. And that allows me to, because they don't make a sand green dish shape like this that has the lines and stuff on it. It's only smooth. I want to make it more mechanical looking, so I use that technique and attached to all those wrenches these sand green 1x1 clips off of more wrenches. It actually kind of makes this somewhat smooth on the edge. And then I've used some gray round pieces and a metallic dish in the middle. And then I've done some other greebling as well, kind of like some communication posts or little antennas, and some using the motor parts, so I was able to achieve kind of this double V shape. I've done similar on the other side, but I've made it different. And on this side, at least what's unique is I've used the bucket handle as a couple antennas. So now that we have these sides very well done, I'm gonna be working more on the interior, because I have the weight in a bricklink order for more of these trans dark blue panel pieces to put here, before I can finish building this up. So all of this flooring on the inside, I think, is going to be the next step. Alright, so now after that time lapse, we have a ton of tiles laid down across the entire flooring. As you can see, all the way down this hallway, kind of getting into there. All of that awesome detail in there on the walls, blending in with the floor, with these trans dark blue outlines. Makes it really pop, especially when the lights are going to be on the ceiling. We got both of these little side pockets, as well as most of the floor in the back. So now, what we're working on next is either wiring in these LEDs into these Technic bricks, or we'll be working on the side wings, which you can notice from before, I did originally have some side wings, but where'd they go? I actually scrapped most of it because I didn't like how it was coming together. So I only kept this part, which attaches to these wings right here. So then I'll be down to redesigning the curvature to make the ship really pop out, like it does on the drawing up there. So now, as you can see, I've taken the back carry handle off, and now I'm starting on wiring up the engine reactors. So I have a big clump of LEDs I have to make all nice and neat in here, and then I have 4 more for each side here. So this should be looking like it's really glowing blue on the inside, which will really highlight those blue outlines in the flooring. So we're going to be doing that. And then for these wings, I've actually extended these by about 14 studs each. So now, for proportions, you can see that they kind of match up a lot more. So I'm going to be able to get that curvature that I want. Instead of them being like down here to where there's like no curvature to be made, now I can actually curve. And I'm planning on using these Technic turntables to get the angle I want, and then these hinge Technic beams to have the shape actually secure. So with that, let's get to the wiring. So alright guys, now we have finished a lot more of the interior with extending the walls up. As you can see, a whole nother layer of detailing than what was there before. All the way across up to where we go into one of the boarding ramps. See, I've done it to both sides. Lots of very nice detailing in here. So now, the next step. So you see these red 2x2 bricks. I'm gonna make some curved arches so that I can hide the LED wires going across, so that I can hook them up all the way underneath into the bottom where the battery will be going. So that's going to be the next step, is creating both of these 2 arches so that I can connect these wires across, and I can connect this wire across. Alright, so now we are going to continue fishing these lights through along the side walls. It's going to be through all these 1x1 Technic bricks. It's going to be difficult to fish it through, but after it's done, it's going to look very clean. You won't be able to tell any wiring is there. So also you can see I've made the cross beams and I've soldered these joints in. So you can see I have the positive wire going to the left and the negative to the right. And I've done the similar thing over here. Again, the positive going to the left, the negative going to the right. And then once I've finished fishing these through, I'm going to splice this lead over here and solder these on. You can see I've got the soldering iron prepared, and as well as I'm going to solder it on this side. Then these wires are going to be going down along the sides into this bottom layer through this gap and into this section where the battery is going to be, along with the circuit board. Without further ado, let's fish it through and solder these wires together. So now you can see that the wires are fished through and that you can only see the wires in that little corner, which you won't be able to see those very soon because I plan on using bracket pieces to cover those up. So it'll be something like this going along the edges, so you won't be able to see it. You can see that they are soldered together and wrapped individually as well, both sides. So now that's done. So now we're going to move on to finishing covering up these 1x1 Technic bricks and the wire I fished through. We're going to detail these beams that are going across, in which these beams are going to serve the purpose of attaching the roof of the ship on and off so that you can be able to access the interior and play around with your own scenes on the inside, as well as see the beautiful lights. So those will be getting detailed, and then we'll start working on that engine area and finishing the structure, because I just got my bricklink order of Technic bricks, so now I have enough to finish the structure of the back, and soon we'll get back to the front, but that'll likely be in the next episode. Now we have a lot of the walls built up to their rough final height. Now, as you can see, all the snot brick on the sides, now we need to attach all the panels like I did on the previous layer. So now that's what we're going to be doing, and then we'll be moving on to the engine area, getting this looking a whole lot better with its shape and detail. Alright, since the last progress clip, we've added, yet again, an additional layer of the paneling to the structure. As you can see, I have a nice, smooth, but consistent level of detail across the new layer of paneling to help draw your attention towards the bottom where everything is going to be going on, and where all the details are more like packed in together and more dense. So that's kind of the idea there. So you can see I've also decorated the tops of the areas where the stands are actually underneath. And on top of this, we're going to have a big roof on here. And I'm going to have some LEDs wired into here, though a lot of them are already in place on the inside of the rooms here. And of course, one of the features is you can turn this gear, which you can see in here will actually raise and lower a ramp to enter the ship. So I might add another entrance to the ship once we get the panel on here. And then for the engine area, as you can see, I've started getting much more of the frame in place since I got in the bricklink order. And as you can see, now the battery compartment is fully made. And the way I'm going to access the battery is I'm manually pulling it out now, but this is going to be hard to access later. So in fact, this is actually going to be motorized to drive the battery in and out, so I can change it and then resend it back in, or change the motor battery pack, which is going to be mounted towards the side right here. And I'm actually going to be using one of the older battery packs because these have very, very long connector wires. So, like, no matter how far, like, this is in, there's no way that the wires will be too short and possibly pinch and pull apart. Otherwise, I've got the basic structure of this thing. Really trying to shake it. Yeah, this thing is really, really sturdy. So, in the back here, I'm planning on putting 3 of these big engines in kind of a row, but kind of elevated, because for the drawing that I have, I'm going to have the bigger, all 3 are the same size, but it's just the way I drew it. It's a little bit, seems like it's smaller, but one of them is going to be a little lower, and then I'll have 2 of them slightly higher and level with each other. So this is the area, the engines, that we're going to be working on next episode. We've got a lot of the framework done. Again, we've got a lot of interior done. And we have really, really done well with the neck area, as well as a decent amount of detail underneath, and a nice satellite dish that I've made. So I've designed a satellite under here for like radar and communications. Though I've used a very interesting technique to actually make this very densely packed satellite dish. In fact, I have another one right here that I can show you what I did with. So on the back of one of these sci-fi dishes, 6x6 with all the lines connecting to the outside, on the very, very last, it's like lines that are going out, you can attach these wrenches, and off of the wrenches I either put these sand green clips or I put yet an additional wrench, and that way I could get the sand green all the way on around the outside in a mostly circular fashion. And then I can incorporate a lot more densely packed details, you can see. And then in the middle, kind of balancing it out, I have a metallic 3x3 dish I have flipped around, and you can see I've used a lot of the circular bar plates. They connect all these wrenches in a circle. So with that, that's how I made the complicated looking satellite. Definitely probably an illegal technique, but it works very well. We'll be starting by the engines. So now you can see from the last episode we have made some very nice corridors in here, as well as we have started laying out this framework for the engine area and where the engines will mount to. As you can see over there, I have 2 of them there, I have one other that's being prototyped for the wiring. But for now, we're going to be working on continuing this corridor style that I have going on in here. As you can see, that style is going to keep on going into here up to where the engines will mount. So let's get to it. Well, since the last clip, we have gotten quite a bit done on the back side here where the engines are going to be going. In fact, I've located where the engines are going to go on the second engine, the second pin here, this hole, and then this one here. And I've anchored those into the pre-existing structure here. And as you can see, I'm pulling on this pretty well. And it's just shaking the whole ship. So this is pretty stable. So, since I have detailed the inside of this, let me see if I can get a better view on the inside. So you can see, now you can see this corner in here. It did pretty decently using the similar panel techniques that I've used over in this room from the last episode. I mean, rather, the previous progress clips. But here is where I'm going to leave off for this episode. So, if you like this one so far, and if you like my alien cruiser I'm doing, please let me know down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe for more building episodes. And the next one is going to be very, very interesting because we're going to start getting the overall shape. That's going to be getting the full curvature, as well as getting this whole neck area done and transitioning the shapes for the engines and getting all the LEDs wired up to get these engines lit up. So with that, I'll see you next time. So as you guys can see, the lighting on the interior looks epic with all that dark blue shading going on with the lights. You can see it really highlights the flooring very well from these two LEDs that are shining from there. And in the front here, that's only two LEDs, and these really do shine bright. And then as I go into here, it really starts to look cool, especially toward the bottom with those, like those tubing pieces I used to make the engine cooling systems look like they're glowing and actually functioning. As you can see, it captures the floor detail very well. And even from the back side, you can see some very nice lighting in there as well.